AITA for exposing my family after they kicked us out of my sister's engagement dinner? I'm Violet, 34, the oldest daughter in a family where being responsible usually meant being the person everyone called when something went wrong and the person everyone blamed when fixing it became inconvenient. My daughter Lily is 7. She has one front tooth missing, puts heart stickers on my grocery lists, and considers herself deeply involved in household management because she reminds me when we're low on cereal. 4 years I told myself I kept showing up for my parents, Robert and Linda, because I wanted Lily to have a real extended family. Grandparents, an aunt, an uncle, holiday leftovers in mismatched containers, people who remembered her birthday without being reminded. I also told myself I was mature enough not to take every cruel comment personally. That turned out to be another convenient story. The real problem started after my grandmother June died. June had been the one person in our family who never confused loudness with authority. She was practical, observant, and almost impossible to guilt trip. She could sit through 20 minutes of my father giving a speech about what the family needed, and then quietly ask one question that made the whole speech fall apart. When I was younger, I thought she was stubborn. As an adult, I understood she just paid attention. She adored all of us, but she trusted us differently. She loved Clara, my younger sister, who was 29 and had always been good at making a room feel brighter when she entered it. Clara remembered birthdays, dressed beautifully for every occasion, and had a way of sounding vulnerable even when she was asking for something expensive. June loved Andrew too. Andrew was 37, my older brother and the only son. He had spent most of his life being described as under pressure, which was our family's preferred phrase whenever he created a problem that would have been called irresponsible if Clara or I had done it. June loved my parents, of course. But when it came to paperwork, money, and anything that requires someone to do what they said they would do, June called me. That was why, when she died, I ended up with partial control over the house and several heirlooms while the estate was being settled. Not ownership of everything. Not some secret fortune. Just enough authority that major decisions involving the house and certain items could not be pushed through without my signature. My father hated that from the beginning. Not openly. At first he wrapped it in praise. Your grandmother trusted you because you're organized. He told me a few days after the funeral, don't make that ugly. I remember staring at him across June's dining table. Her reading glasses were still sitting near the window where she had left them. There was a grocery receipt folded under a ceramic fruit bowl. The whole house still smelled faintly of the hand cream she used. I'm not making anything ugly, I said. I know. I'm just saying we're family. We don't need lawyers turning this into a war. That was the first time he framed it like I was the one who might cause trouble. The paperwork started coming fast after that. Insurance notices, property tax bills, maintenance costs, mail that had to be answered, certified letters, questions about which expenses belonged to the estate and which needed to be covered immediately so the house didn't fall into disrepair while everything was being sorted. My father liked discussing those things in broad terms. We'll take care of it. We'll figure it out. Don't make everything about receipts. Unfortunately, insurance companies and county offices tend to care about receipts. So I handled what needed handling. At first, I assumed everyone else was doing the same. Then I started seeing gaps. One payment June had made shortly before she died had been moved into an account Andrew had access to while helping with some of her expenses. A second transfer didn't line up with the bills it was supposedly meant to cover. Then I got a notice that insurance coverage on the house was at risk because a payment had not been made. I called Andrew. He answered on the 5th ring. What? Did you handle the insurance? A pause. Dad was supposed to. Dad said you were. Well, it's probably processing. It isn't. I'm looking at the notice. He sighed as if I were annoying him. Violet, can you not do this right now? Do what? Interrogate me. I'm asking if you paid a bill. I said I'd take care of it. That's not what I asked. Another pause. Then he said, I moved some money around. I'll put it back. That sentence changed everything. I went back through every record I could legally access. The numbers weren't enormous enough to sound cinematic, but they were large enough to matter. Large enough that unpaid property costs and other estate expenses could become serious. Large enough that Andrew clearly could not replace everything immediately. I emailed him the discrepancies. He replied the next morning. I still have the message. I know what's missing. I'll repay it. Please don't blow this up before I can fix it. I called my father. He came over that evening with my mother. Neither of them acted surprised. That was what scared me most. My mother sat at my kitchen table with both hands wrapped around a mug she never drank from. My father paced. He made a mistake, he said. A mistake is paying the wrong bill. This went on for months. He was trying to manage too much. So was I. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm asking what happened. My mother finally spoke. Andrew is already ashamed. I looked at her. Is he? Violet. No, seriously. Is he? Because I'm the one staring at late notices. My father's jaw tightened. Your brother will make it right. When? Soon. How soon? Why do you need a date for everything? Because companies put dates on bills. My mother flinched as if I had yelled at her. That was her gift. She could make my calmest sentence sound cruel if it contained something she didn't want to hear. Later that night after they left, she called me. I didn't answer because Lily was asleep beside me on the couch and I didn't want to wake her. So my mother left a voicemail. Please don't say anything about Andrew. Your father can't survive that embarrassment, and Clara's future shouldn't suffer because of one mistake. We will fix it. Please, Violet. Just give us time. I listened to that voicemail 3 times. Then I saved it. I wish I could say I immediately realized what was happening and refused to participate. I didn't. I agreed to keep the matter private while Andrew repaid what he owed. I covered an urgent insurance payment. Later, I helped cover a property tax bill so nothing would snowball into a bigger problem. I documented everything. Every transfer. Every email. Every expense. I told myself that keeping the estate stable mattered more than exposing anyone. I told myself June would have wanted dignity. I told myself Lily did not need a family scandal. What I was really doing was giving 4 adults the chance to solve a problem they had already decided was going to become mine. Andrew never fully repaid me. Every few weeks there was a reason. He was waiting on money. He had another expense. Dad said not to pressure him. Mom said I was making him feel like a criminal. Clara said almost nothing because at that point, Clara had entered full wedding planning mode. She had gotten engaged and suddenly every family conversation became about guest lists, flowers, dresses, deposits, and how important the next year was going to be. I tried not to resent her for that. Clara had not taken the money. She had not caused the unpaid bills. But she knew more than she admitted. I became sure of that after she called me one afternoon and asked, a little too casually, if you signed the house paperwork before the wedding, what would actually change? I was standing at my kitchen counter cutting strawberries for Lily. What paperwork? The stuff Dad mentioned. He mentions a lot of stuff. The release. Or transfer. Whatever it is. I put the knife down. Why are you asking? She laughed. God, Violet. It's just a question. Then ask Dad. He said you're the one holding it up. That was the first time I heard the exact phrase. Holding it up. Clara, what exactly do you think I'm holding up? She hesitated. I don't know. Moving forward. With what? The house. Family stuff. The wedding. Everything. The wedding. Another pause. Not directly. Then why did you say it? You always do this. Do what? Turn everything into an interrogation. I almost laughed because it sounded exactly like Andrew. Instead I said, if Dad wants me to sign something, tell him to send it to the attorney. Clara's voice hardened. It doesn't have to be like that. If it's harmless, putting it in writing won't hurt anybody. She hung up 2 minutes later. That evening my father sent a family email with the subject line. For everyone's peace of mind. That was Robert in one sentence. The email said the family had endured too much unnecessary strain, after June's death, and that certain documents needed to be completed so everyone could move forward without suspicion or resentment. He did not name me directly. He didn't have to. My mother replied all within 6 minutes. We all need healing. Clara replied with a heart. Andrew did not reply at all. I wrote back only to my father. Please send any estate-related documents through the attorney. His response was almost immediate. You are the only person making this formal. I did not respond. After that, the story the extended family heard about me became obvious. My Aunt Ruth called one Sunday. Ruth is my father's younger sister. She is not sentimental and usually refuses to get pulled into drama, which made the call strange. Is there a reason you won't release the house? She asked. I nearly dropped my coffee. What? Your dad says everything is frozen because you won't cooperate. That's not true. He says you've become very controlling. I stared at the wall for a second. Did he tell you I paid the insurance? Silence. What insurance? The house insurance. No. Did he tell you I covered a property tax bill? No. Did he tell you Andrew owes money connected to the estate? A longer silence. What are you talking about? That was the moment I knew my parents had not simply been vague. They were building a version of events where I was the obstacle. I could have corrected Ruth right then. I almost did. But I heard June's voice in my head. Not literally. Just the memory of how she used to tell us not to turn every disagreement into a public spectacle. So I said, there's more going on than Dad is telling you. Ruth sighed. Then maybe you should tell us. I'm trying to handle it privately. Well, private doesn't seem to be going very well. She was right. I still didn't act. That is the part one am least proud of. I had proof, but I kept protecting people who had already started using my silence as evidence against me. My mother grew bolder. At family meals she started making little comments. You've become so hard. You always have to be right. Not everything is a transaction. One night after she said that last one I answered, it becomes a transaction when I'm the only one paying. My father slammed his fork down. Can we have one dinner without you keeping score? Lily looked up from her mashed potatoes. I lowered my voice. Then don't talk about money. My mother's eyes filled with tears. There. That tone. I looked at Lily and let the conversation die. On the drive home she was quiet in the back seat. I thought she was tired until she said, Mom. Yeah. Why does Grandma say you're hard to love? My hands tightened on the steering wheel. For a few seconds I honestly could not speak. Lily had a paper takeout bag on her lap with half a dinner roll inside. She was looking out the window, not even realizing she had just cracked something open in me that I had spent years sealing shut. Did Grandma say that to you? She said it to Aunt Clara. I was getting my sweater. I kept my voice steady. Did she say anything else? She said you make everything difficult. I pulled into a parking lot because I did not trust myself to keep driving. I turned around. Listen to me, baby. I have not done something bad. Okay. Sometimes grown-ups say unfair things because they don't want to tell the truth. She nodded slowly. Are you mad? Not at you. Is Grandma mad at us? No. Grandma is upset with me. Why? I looked at her missing tooth, the tiny crumbs on her coat, and the way she was trying so hard to understand a problem she should never have been invited into. That's adult stuff, I said. You don't need to carry it. She accepted that answer. I didn't. That night, after she went to sleep, I listened to my mother's old voicemail again. Please don't say anything about Andrew. Your father can't survive that embarrassment, and Clara's future shouldn't suffer because of one mistake. Then I thought about her telling relatives I had never helped. I thought about Andrew calling me greedy while owing money. I thought about Clara asking what would happen if I signed before the wedding. And I realized privacy had become a weapon. A few days later, my father called and invited Lily and me to Clara's engagement dinner. I almost declined. Then he added, it would mean a lot to your sister if you showed that you can put everything aside for one night. That sentence annoyed me enough that I said yes. The dinner was at my parents' house. They had tried very hard to make it look elegant without spending restaurant money. There were white candles down the center of the table, printed place cards, and grocery store flowers arranged in glass vases. A tray of small desserts was waiting in the kitchen under plastic wrap. Clara wore a cream dress, and her engagement ring seemed to catch the light every time she moved her hand. Lily wore a navy dress she loved because it had pockets. For the first 20 minutes, everything was almost normal. People complimented the food. Ruth asked Clara about the venue. One of my cousins made a joke about wedding seating charts. Then my father came up behind me while I was helping Lily cut a piece of chicken. "Did you bring your ID?" I looked at him. "For dinner." He frowned. "For the document." "What document?" "We talked about this." "No, you talked around it." His mouth tightened. "Don't start tonight. I'm feeding my daughter." He walked away. 5 minutes later, my mother leaned over and said, "Your father really needs you to be cooperative. Then he can send the document to the attorney." She lowered her voice. "Please don't embarrass Clara." I looked across the table at my sister. She was laughing at something Ruth had said. "Does Clara know you're planning to have me sign estate paperwork at her engagement dinner?" My mother's eyes moved away from mine. That told me enough. By the time the main dishes were cleared, I had spotted a large envelope on the sideboard. My name was written across the front. There was a notarized letter inside. My father waited until everyone had fresh drinks before he stood. He tapped his glass with a spoon. At first I thought he was about to toast Clara. He did. He said how proud he was of her. He welcomed her fiancé into the family. He talked about new beginnings. Then he said, "And part of a new beginning is resolving old conflicts." The room changed immediately. Ruth looked at me. Clara looked down. Andrew leaned back in his chair. My father continued, "This family has been stuck for months because one person has refused to trust the rest of us." I felt Lily's knee against mine under the table. I said, "Dad." He raised a hand. "No. You've had plenty of chances to make this easy." My mother looked at me with that wounded expression she could produce on command. "This is bigger than your feelings, Violet." I stared at her. "What are you doing?" "We're asking you to let this family heal," she said. Clara finally looked up. "I just want one thing to be about me." There it was. I sat back. "So this is why you invited me?" My father lifted the envelope from the sideboard and set it beside my plate. "All you have to do is sign." I did not touch it. "What does it do?" "It simplifies control of the property." "For who?" "For the family." "That isn't an answer." Andrew snorted. "You always need to act like the smartest person in the room." I turned toward him. "You still owe money." His face changed. My father snapped, "We are not discussing that. You're asking me to sign legal paperwork at a dinner table. We're discussing whatever affects my signature." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "You're punishing me for something I didn't do." "No. I'm refusing to sign a document I haven't reviewed." "You've had months." "I've had months of vague pressure." "That isn't the same thing." My mother shook her head. "You've become so cold." Lily's hand found my sleeve. I looked down. She was watching my mother. That was the line. Not because it was the cruelest thing anyone had ever said to me. It wasn't. But because my daughter was sitting there, learning what this family expected love to look like. My father pushed the envelope closer. "We just need 5 minutes of maturity from you tonight." I looked at him. "Send it through counsel." Clara started crying for real then, though whether it was anger or hurt, I still don't know. "You could sign and let everyone move forward." "No." Andrew laughed under his breath. "There it is." I turned to him. "There what is?" "The real Violet. Control. That's all you care about. Is that what you told everybody?" He shrugged. "You were never really one of us anyway." The room went very still. Someone whispered, "Andrew." He smirked. My father did not correct him. Instead, he pointed toward the hallway. "This is a family dinner, And you clearly don't want to be family. I looked at him. Are you telling me to leave? I'm telling you that if you can't put your pride aside for your sister, then yes. My mother said, dinner will be easier without the attitude. Clara wiped her face. You should go before you ruin anything else. Lily gripped my sleeve harder. I stood. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not throw the envelope. I put Lily's coat around her shoulders and picked up her little purse from the back of the chair. Then I looked at my father. Are you sure you want me to stop being involved? He gave a short, humorless laugh. That would be the best thing you've done for us in years. I nodded. All right. Andrew smiled like he had one. That smile lasted about 9 minutes. Outside, the air was cold enough that Lily's breath fogged. I buckled her into the car. Are we going home? Yes. Did I do something? No. Did you? No. She nodded, trusting me because she was 7 and I was her mother, and that trust nearly broke my heart. I closed her door and stepped a few feet away. Then I called the estate attorney. His name was Daniel. He had been patient with me for months while I kept asking how to preserve the current arrangement without escalating the family conflict. He answered on the second ring. Violet, I need to change how we're handling this. What happened? I'm withdrawing from every voluntary arrangement I've been maintaining to keep expenses and records quiet. I'm not signing any releases, transfers, waivers, or changes unless they come through you. I'm also done covering house costs unless there is a written legal obligation. There was a pause. All right. And I want everything documented from this point forward. Understood. One more thing. Yes. Stop protecting them. He was quiet for a second. Then he said, I'll send confirmation tonight. I hung up. I sat in the driver's seat but did not start the car yet. Lily was drawing a smiley face in the fog on her window. 8 minutes later, my phone rang. Dad. I ignored it. Then Mom. Then Dad again. Then Clara. Then Andrew. On the 9th minute, the front door opened and my father came outside without a coat. He walked quickly toward the car. I got out before he could reach Lily's side. What did you do? He demanded. I stopped being involved. His face was pale. Undo it. No. You don't understand what you just did. I understand exactly what I did. Daniel sent an email to everyone. I asked him to document the change. You cannot do this tonight. You told me leaving would be the best thing I'd done for you in years. That was an argument. No, that was a decision. He lowered his voice. Clara is inside crying. I'm sure she is. This affects her. It should never have been tied to her wedding in the first place. He stepped closer. Violet, listen to me. We can talk about this privately. I almost laughed. I tried private. His eyes flicked toward the house. What did you tell Daniel? The truth. His expression changed. That was all I needed to see. He was not worried that I had misunderstood something. He was worried I had stopped hiding it. I opened the car door. You wanted me out, I said. So I'm out. But I'm taking my silence with me. He grabbed the top of the door before I could close it. Don't threaten this family. I'm not threatening anyone. You know what I mean. Yes, I do. I looked at his hand on the door. Let go. He did. I drove home. My phone lit up almost continuously. Clara texted first. I can't believe you did this tonight. This was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. Then. You always have to punish people. Then. Just sign so we can move forward. Andrew left a voicemail. You're insane. You're making yourself the victim again. Call Dad before you make this worse. 7 minutes later, he left another. What exactly did the attorney see? Violet, what did you send him? That one I saved too. My mother called 5 times before sending a text. After everything I did for you, this is how you repay me. I put the phone face down. Lily was sitting at the kitchen table in her pajamas eating cereal because she had barely touched dinner. She stuck a heart sticker to the side of my water glass. "For you," she said. I kissed the top of her head. After she went to bed, I opened my laptop. I did not write a social media post. I did not send a furious message. I did not tell every relative every ugly thing my parents had ever said. I made a timeline. Date June died. Date the first transfer went missing. Date the insurance notice arrived. Date I covered the payment. Date Andrew admitted he had moved money. Date Andrew promised repayment in writing. Date my mother left the voicemail begging me to protect him. Date I paid toward the property tax bill. Date Clara first asked what would happen if I signed before the wedding. Date my father sent his peace of mind email. Date they placed a notarized letter in front of me at the engagement dinner. I printed receipts. I printed transfer records. I printed the insurance notice. I printed the property bill. I printed Andrew's email. I transcribed my mother's voicemail word for word. Then I took out an old envelope I had kept in a kitchen drawer. June had written my name on the front in her careful, narrow handwriting. Inside was a short note she had given me months before she died. Violet. If you are reading this because people are angry about what I asked you to handle, remember that fairness is not the same as letting the loudest person take what they want. Do what can survive daylight. Love, June. I sat there for a long time holding that note. Then I added a copy to the timeline. I sent the packet only to relatives who had personally confronted me, repeated my parents' version of events, or participated in the engagement dinner. Not everyone. I wasn't trying to create a spectacle. I was correcting a record. My email was short. Several people have been told I refused to help with June's estate and have delayed resolution for personal reasons. That is false. Attached is a timeline with supporting records. I will not discuss legal details beyond what is necessary, but I will no longer accept public accusations while being asked privately to cover the same problems being concealed. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning I had 31 messages. Ruth called first. I answered. She did not say hello. Is this real? Yes. The voicemail too? Yes. And Andrew still owes money? Yes. How much? I told her the current amount. She was quiet. Then she said, "Your father told me you refused to pay anything." I know. He said you were using the house to punish Clara. I know. Why didn't you tell me? I thought handling it privately was the mature thing. Ruth exhaled. That family has made privacy do a lot of work. I almost smiled. By noon, the relatives had divided into camps. Some apologized. Some said they had no idea. Some said I should have handled it only through attorneys. A cousin wrote, "I believe you, but sending the voicemail transcript feels personal." I responded, "It became relevant when she told people I never helped." I did not argue after that. My father called from a number I did not recognize because I had stopped answering his. "You sent private family information to people." I corrected false information. "You humiliated your mother. She told people I abandoned you while asking me to cover for Andrew. You are twisting this. Which document is fake?" Silence. Which receipt is fake? Violet. Which date is wrong? This is not how family handles conflict. I laughed once. Apparently, family handles conflict by making me pay bills and then calling me greedy. He hung up. 2 days later, certified mail arrived confirming that future estate communication would follow formal channels. That was when the practical consequences hit them. Without my voluntary cooperation, no one could rush through the property changes the way my father had planned. The house could not simply become a convenient financial tool. Clara's wedding plans were not canceled, but the version that depended on easy access to money tied up around the property suddenly stopped being realistic. She called me. I almost did not answer, but I wanted to hear what she would say when she could not perform for a room. "You knew this would affect the wedding," she said. "I knew Dad was trying to connect the estate to the wedding." "That's not what I said." It is what matters. You could have just signed. You keep saying that like the document was a birthday card. You weren't giving up everything. I was giving up control that Grandma intentionally gave me. Clara started crying. I didn't steal money. No. I didn't ask Andrew to do that. No. Then why am I paying for it? I sat down at my kitchen table. Because you decided benefiting from a lie was easier than asking questions. That's unfair. Did you know Dad wanted access to the house for wedding-related expenses? Silence. Clara. I knew there were options. Did you know Andrew had a money problem connected to the estate? Another silence. Not all of it. How much? I knew he owed something. And you still told me to sign. I thought it would help everybody. It would help you. She snapped. God, you always think people are using you. I looked at the stack of receipts on the table. Sometimes they are. She hung up. The family meeting happened the following weekend. My father called it an attempt to repair what I had damaged. Ruth insisted on being there. So did two other relatives who had received the documents. I left Lily with someone I trusted because I did not want her in that room. When I walked into my parents' house, the same dining table from the engagement dinner had been cleared completely. No flowers. No candles. No place cards. Just water glasses and a legal pad in front of my father. He looked like he was running a board meeting. My mother had red eyes. Clara sat with her arms folded. Andrew did not look at me. My father started. We are here because this family has suffered enough. Ruth said. Then answer questions. He ignored her. Violet made a private financial dispute public. I put my folder on the table. No, you made me the public villain. I answered with records. My mother shook her head. You could have come to us. I stared at her. I did. You know what I mean. No, I don't. Before humiliating us. I have your voicemail asking me to keep Andrew's problem secret. Her face tightened. That was a mother trying to protect her son. And what were you doing when you told Aunt Ruth I had never helped? I was hurt. That isn't an answer. My father leaned forward. You embarrassed this family. I looked at him. No, I stopped letting you use embarrassment as a leash. Clara said. Can we not make everything into some big speech? I turned toward her. Fine. Facts only. I opened the folder. I put the insurance notice on the table. This came after a payment was missed. Then the transfer records. These are the transfers that did not match the expenses they were supposed to cover. Then Andrew's email. This is Andrew acknowledging the missing amount and promising repayment. Andrew finally looked at me. You're making yourself the victim. I slid the email toward him. Is it fake? He said nothing. I placed my bank records down. These are my payments. Then the property tax paperwork. This is what I covered to prevent the problem from getting worse. My mother started crying. Ruth did not even look at her. I put the transcript of the voicemail in front of my mother. This is what you said. She whispered. You recorded me? You left a voicemail. That was private. So were the accusations you made about me, until you shared them. My father said. Enough. Ruth snapped. No, not enough. Everyone looked at her. She picked up the bank records. So Violet has been paying this whole time, and you still told us she abandoned you? My father looked away. Ruth turned to my mother. Linda, did you know about Andrew when you told me Violet was holding everything up? My mother wiped her face. I knew there were complications. That's not what I asked. My mother looked at my father. Ruth's voice sharpened. Don't look at him. Did you know? Yes. The room went silent. Clara muttered. This is insane. Ruth turned to her. Did you know? Clara's face reddened. I knew there was some money Andrew had to replace. And you still wanted Violet to sign? I wanted this over. Ruth leaned back. Well, now I understand what over meant. Andrew pushed his chair away from the table. This is ridiculous. I said I'd pay it back. I looked at him. When? I told you I've been dealing with things. For how many months? He did not answer. My father stepped in. Andrew made a mistake. We were trying to avoid destroying his life over it. I nodded. And whose reputation did you decide to destroy instead? That is not what happened. I looked around the table. It is exactly what happened. My father slammed his palm down once. You are acting like you're innocent in all of this. I paid bills that weren't mine. I stayed quiet when you asked. I kept documents organized. I gave Andrew time. I did all of that while you told relatives I was greedy. You held the house over everyone's head. No. Grandma gave me legal control over part of it. I refused to surrender it because you wanted fewer questions. Clara said, you could have handled this privately. I looked at her. I tried private. Private is how all of you turned me into the villain. No one answered. Then I took out June's note. I did not read it dramatically. I slid copies across the table. My father read his first. His face went still. Ruth read it and gave one short nod. Andrew barely glanced at his. Clara read the line twice. Fairness is not the same as letting the loudest person take what they want. My mother pushed the page away. She didn't know what would happen. She knew all of us, I said. My father looked at me. What do you want? That question almost made me laugh because they still thought this was a negotiation. I want nothing from any of you except compliance with the process. He frowned. What does that mean? It means every estate issue goes through writing or counsel. I will not sign anything under pressure. I will not pay house expenses unless I am legally required to. Andrew handles his debt. Clara's wedding budget does not involve my inheritance or authority. Nobody discusses me like I'm defective in front of Lily. If that happens again, you will not see her until I decide the environment is safe. My mother looked horrified. You're taking my granddaughter away? No. I'm setting a condition for access. That is cruel. No. Teaching a 7-year-old that love means watching her mother absorb disrespect would be cruel. My father said, you don't get to dictate terms to us. I just did. Andrew scoffed. You think because you have a lawyer? No. I think because Grandma set it up this way, and because I'm done volunteering to make your lives easier. He opened his mouth. I cut him off. You don't get to call me greedy after spending years living off the mess I cleaned up. His face went red. My father said my name like a warning. Violet. No. He stopped. I had spent my whole life responding to that tone. Not that day. I didn't destroy this family, I said. I stopped paying for the lie that kept it looking normal. Then I packed my copies back into the folder. Nobody chased me when I left. For the next few weeks, the consequences came in boring, realistic pieces. Emails. Certified mail. Attorney letters. Phone calls I did not answer. Voicemails I saved. My father repeatedly asked me to undo the damage. I never did. My mother told 2 relatives that I had turned everyone against her. One of them forwarded the message to me. I did not respond. Clara cut several things from her wedding budget. She blamed me for that in one text, then sent another 3 days later saying she needed space. I gave it to her. Andrew made a partial repayment. Not because he suddenly became honorable. Because once the family stopped focusing on me, the pressure finally moved to the person who owed the money. Ruth called me after he sent it. Don't celebrate yet, she said. I'm not. He's still complaining that you made him look bad. He did that himself. Good. Just checking. Some relatives still thought I went too far. One uncle told me I should have kept the voicemail private. Another said everything would have been less painful if I had waited until after the wedding. I asked him, waited to do what? He did not have a good answer. That was the thing I started noticing once I stopped automatically defending myself. People love suggesting I should have waited. Waited for Andrew to repay. Waited for Clara's wedding. Waited for my mother to calm down. Waited for my father to feel less embarrassed. Waited until the family was ready. Nobody could tell me when my turn was supposed to come. My parents did not apologize. Not really. My father once said, "Mistakes were made on all sides." I told him, "That sentence is why we still need lawyers." My mother once said, "I'm sorry you feel like we didn't appreciate you." I said, "That isn't an apology." She cried. I ended the call. Clara and I eventually had one conversation that was quieter than the others. She admitted she knew Dad wanted the house to create financial flexibility before the wedding. She said she did not know exactly how much Andrew owed. I believed her. I also believed she had avoided learning the truth because the vague version benefited her. "I didn't want to think about it," she said. "I know. I thought if you signed, the fighting would stop. For you." She looked down. Probably. That was the closest thing to honesty I got from her. I told her I hoped her marriage was happy. I also told her I was not funding, signing, guaranteeing, releasing, or surrendering anything to make it easier. She did not like that. But she accepted that I was not changing my mind. The biggest change was not in them. It was in my routine. Sunday dinners stopped. The world did not end. I stopped getting knots in my stomach every time my father's name appeared on my phone. I stopped checking whether my mother was upset before deciding what I was allowed to say. I stopped paying expenses that were not mine just because nobody else had planned ahead. I also stopped explaining the same boundary 5 different ways. No became a complete answer much more often. A few weeks after the family meeting, Lily and I were leaving an attorney appointment after I had signed routine paperwork. She had come with me because our childcare plans fell through, and she spent most of the appointment drawing tiny hearts in the margin of a blank notepad. On the way to the car, she reached for my hand. "Mom." "Yeah. Are we still in trouble with Grandma and Grandpa?" I stopped. She looked up at me, serious in that 7-year-old way that always feels too old. "No," I said. "Are they mad?" "Probably." "Is that trouble?" I thought about it. "No. Someone being mad at you doesn't automatically mean you did something wrong." She squeezed my hand. "So we're okay?" "We're okay." She nodded. Then she asked if we could get fries. That was the emotional range of a 7-year-old. Existential family concern followed immediately by potatoes. I laughed and said yes. As we drove away, I thought about the engagement dinner, the candles, the envelope beside my plate. My father pointing at the door like exile was the worst thing he could do to me. For years, they had relied on one assumption, that no matter what they said about me, I would keep doing the work that protected them from consequences. They mistook my patience for permission. They mistook my silence for agreement. And they mistook my love for Lily as something they could use to keep me compliant. They were wrong. I did not need a perfect apology. I did not need everyone in the family to choose my side. I did not need Andrew to admit everything in some dramatic speech or my parents to suddenly understand me. I needed the lying to stop costing me money. I needed the insults to stop reaching my daughter. I needed my grandmother's wishes handled in a way that could survive daylight. That was enough. Lily dipped a fry in ketchup and held it up like she had discovered treasure. "Mom." "Yeah. We're really not in trouble?" I smiled. "No. We're done being punished for telling the truth. They wanted me gone from the table. So I left. The mistake they made was forgetting I was the one keeping the table standing. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.